What are the different types of loads acting on a structure? Let's look at this house and see what loads may apply here. First one is the dead load due to beams, columns and so on. That is due to the load of the structure itself. Next one is live load due to people, furniture and other moving loads that are due to intended use of the structure. Next come the lateral loads due to wind, soil pressure below the surface of the ground, hydrostatic pressure if the house wall is exposed to static water, snow load in snow area and so on. Beside these, there may be other loads like thermal load due to increase and decrease of temperature, seismic loads in earthquake-prone regions, vibration load especially where the machines are housed and so on. Establishment of the loads that acts on a structure is one of the very important steps in the design of a structure. Once the primary form of the structure is determined, that means once the preliminary dimension is finalized and type of members are selected, the actual design begins with those elements that are subjected to the primary loads the structure is intended to carry and proceeds in sequence to the various load supporting members until the foundation is reached. Loads on a roof are like snow, wind, construction, worker loads. Beams below the floor has to support the floor and activities on the floor. It also has to support its dead load as every other member. A column has to support loads due to beam, floor, room and all the loads above it including its own weight. These all loads are finally transmitted to the soil or rock immediately below the foundation. Basically, the loads can be divided in three categories: a live load, dead load and environmental load. Dead loads are likely to act continuously and for which variation in magnitude with time is small. Weights of various structural members, weights of any objects that are permanently attached to the structure are the example of dead loads. Live load or imposed loads are variable loads resulting from the intended use of the structure. Weights of any moving objects are the example of imposed loads. Environmental loads are loads from environment, for example wind, snow, earthquake and so on. Live and dead loads acts on every structure, whereas type of environmental loads acting depend on the geographical location of the structure. In some area, only one type of environmental load may apply, whereas in other area it might be multiple loads. How to estimate the loads? The design loading for a structure is often specified in structural or building code of that country. For example, in Australia, Building Code of Australia and Australian codes applies. Similarly, USA, India or China, they use their own codes. As an engineer, we must use the relevant code of the country when estimating the load that applies to the structure to be designed.